Hey guys, and welcome back to Twilight Princess. After 5 long, agonising, excruciating, hyperbole-filled parts, we have finally arrived in the first dungeon of the game, the Forest Temple. And now, thankfully, I can gush about how great the dungeons in Twilight Princess are. But first, in the HFC tradition, Mexi, read us off some similarly themed, tropey dungeons from the franchise, please.
Have we gotten that predictable so far?
Go for it, mate.
Alright, so even though they have the same name, it's not really fair to make a comparison between this Forest Temple and the one from Ocarina of Time, even though that's what most people will go to right away. I mean, for one, this Forest Temple only has one level, as opposed to the one in Ocarina of Time having multiple floors, and this one is actually more organic. Remember, the other one was sort of a mansion in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
I mean, the first room in both dungeons is similar, but that's really where the similarities end. A much fairer comparison would be to compare this Forest Temple to inside the Great Deku Tree.
Well, there's a little bit of a difference there. It didn't take us 4 hours to get inside the Deku Tree.
I know, let's make the comparison here, alright?
Okay.
So, Ocarina of Time, we were in the Great Deku Tree in Part 2. In Zelda 1, we were already done with a third of the dungeons. Part 6, and we're finally just starting. It's crazy.
Yeah, I really hope Miyamoto doesn't go and upend any 720p 60 frames per second T-tables for Zelda Wii U, but we have heard tell that Aonuma is promising a lack of tutorials in that game. He's saying all the right things right now. If they'll pay off remains to be seen, though.
I still have faith in Aonuma. Really, I'm just worried that Miyamoto is gonna appear out of nowhere and be, Shasha! Here's a tutorial.
Right, with accompanying Miyamoto boss music and the like.
I would really just compare this to Inside the Great Deku Tree. They're both the first dungeon in the respective games, they're both foresty theme, and they both take place inside a massive tree, and some have even theorized that this is actually the dead remains of the Great Deku Tree. Which is very possible, since regardless of what timeline this game takes place in, the Great Deku Tree will wither and die. It happens on all the timelines.
Yeah.
But since this takes place on the child timeline, that means a Deku Sprout hasn't been planted, so it would make sense that, just the dead corpse of a tree remains.
How did that Deku Sprout get planted anyway? Did the Kokiris say, oh shit, we got a spare Deku Sprout sitting around here, there's no evil coming out of the Forest Temple anymore, I guess it's safe to plant it?
Maybe it's that the Deku Tree had a giant contingency plan, like he has millions of kids all over the world, but you need to get rid of all the evil in order for them to actually blossom.
Yeah, the same kind of thing happened in a minigame, or I guess you could call it a side quest in Wind Waker, where you're planting trees all over the ocean, which kind of leads to some nasty implications, like they want the green to take over the world, but I may be reading a bit too much into that.
420, plant Deku trees everywhere.
Back there, you may have seen me do a little fancy animation where Link twirls his sword and puts it back in the sheath. That came from the very first reveal trailer for Twilight Princess. The big E3 thing with, oh my god, oh shit, etc. And you can do this by pressing the A button at a certain time. I'm not sure, it may differ for each enemy, but a certain time after you kill an enemy. It's pretty nifty.
Just be careful not to do it while there's still enemies around, because it would dick you over.
Yeah, Link's all like, shasha, oh my god, here come the blades.
Ow, my soul. Another comparison with this dungeon to others is Woodfall Temple, in that we haven't got to it yet, but later on you're going to see that there's actually a lot of swamp-like rooms within this dungeon, so there's that comparison, of course.
A lot of wind in this dungeon.
Yeah, it's really weird because I want to remind you guys that Ocarina of Time's Forest Temple was originally going to be the Wind Temple. There aren't any wind puzzles actually in it, but the Forest Trial in Ganon's Tower, that's wind-based. But several forest-related dungeons after Ocarina of Time have all had some kind of wind-related mechanics incorporated into their design.
Right.
In Wind Waker, you had to move lily pads using gusts of wind, and then you also had those wooden carts that you had to blow wind at a fan to move across.
And in Spirit Tracks, you get an item in, I believe it's the first dungeon, that you have to use to knock the boss out of the sky.
Exactly. That's also called the Forest Temple, but only in non-PAL versions. In PAL, it's called the Wooded Temple, because I guess they're trying to eliminate confusion, but guys, you've already named half the forest dungeons the Forest Temple. It's okay. No one's gonna get confused.
Okay, this is our gimmick for this dungeon, and there's a lot of gimmicks in Twilight Princess, at least 4 dungeons, but here we have to rescue monkeys in order to be able to swing across the bridge and reach the mini-boss. It's not too hard, it's mostly linear, honestly.
Well, it's the first dungeon, they can't go too crazy, but yeah, a lot of people say that the dungeons are gimmicky, but to me, I just think it's a real interesting design. I mean, yeah, you could just get through the dungeon as is, you know, it's the first dungeon, so they shouldn't throw all that challenge in you, but I kind of like how, in order to get through, you have to pretty much go to all the rooms, and it's not just to go to all the rooms for, like, keys or something, you're actually, you know, progressing by saving someone.
Right.
Which I think gathering monkeys, to me, seems more fun than gathering keys.
Get used to this. Every time you reset the game, you'll be seeing how much each individual rupee is worth. And what the fucking hell is this thing?
That's a man chicken. We're going to talk about them later, but all you need to know for now is that these guys are going to be your temple warp. They're similar to Mambo's Mambo, where if you want to get to the entrance of a dungeon, you just use these guys and that's how you exit.
Does that thing have breasts?
I don't know why you're looking there, Tom.
I don't want to look at its face. It's terrifying.
Well, then just look at the shield or something.
Ugh, I'm just gonna look away. That is a nice wall.
The fire effects in this game are also pretty good. I know we've been gushing about water, but that's not the only effect that's pretty good in this game. Fire is pretty legit. Spiderwebs have also been in a lot of forest dungeons. I remember in Minish Cap, you had a whole bunch, and you actually had to use the Gust Jar, another wind-themed item, to clear them out. But since we don't have that, we'll just use good old fire.
Yeah, and expect to see a lot of spiders in this forest-themed dungeon. It is a Zelda trope, after all.
They actually upped the ante on Skulltulas. They can actually come off of the walls and crawl at you, forcing a one-on-one fight, or in Tom's situation, an anxiety attack.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
They're also freaking huge, and there's actually two types of Skulltulas in Twilight Princess. You have the white kind and the orange kind, and the orange ones only appear in the Forest Temple. So the Forest Temple not only has spiders, it has special spiders.
Yeah, that's exactly what I need, a unique breed of spider.
Well, at least they got rid of a lot of the wall-hanging ones, and they're a lot easier to take down.
Now, until we get the dungeon item, we're kind of at the mercy of the winds. It's not too tricky to get across the bridges in time, but just be forewarned that you can't control their direction until you get that item.
It's not all that obvious, but the hitbox on the platform for those areas is actually a lot bigger than it looks. Like, you can kind of stand off of the edge on the outside, but you have to time your jumps really precisely in order to get on those little platforms.
Not to piss on your trivia, mate, but did you see that spider back there?
It died.
It did, and I enjoyed it.
Gathering monkeys is the whole big gimmick of this dungeon, but monkeys have been around in Zelda for a while, so don't go blaming Twilight Princess for introducing like something that shouldn't fit in Zelda. Monkeys have been around. They were first introduced in A Link to the Past, where once you enter the Dark World, in order to get to the first dungeon, you actually had to pay a monkey named Kiki a total of 110 rupees.
Yeah.
So once again, monkey serving as padding. Oh my god.
Keep that in mind, that whole rolling into a totem pole to knock something off. That'll come in handy for the mini-boss.
Yeah, the roll is no longer just the fastest way to move, it actually is used in combat.
What, no celebratory cutscene? I feel gypped.
Well, you saved a monkey, dude. Be happy.
That in and of itself is its reward.
That is the greatest reward of all.
Don't you just love how our partner isn't popping up and giving us random calculations all the time?
There is a 95% chance that this monkey will be useful.
Master, I indicate that there is a 95% chance we're related to this monkey.
Oh, I get it. I see you and your genetic humor.
The monkeys won't actually follow you if there's enemies in the way, so just take them out as fast as possible. Like so.
You'll see that one of the monkeys has a reddish-pink flower in her head. It's not explicitly said, but I think that might actually be a reference to Oracle of Ages. You know, the one game that's just referenced all the time in every single game.
Yeah.
In that game, there's a whole bunch of monkeys in the forest at the time, and one of them actually wears a pink bow. And she says she wears it because she wants to be a real princess like Zelda.
Okay.
And I think this is supposed to be a reference to that monkey wearing a pink bow.
Seems kind of obscure, but I'll roll with it, I guess.
Hey, any way that I can say that this is a reference to Oracle of Ages, I will take.
Never like these enemies. They're like the basic barbers, but they take an extra hit to kill.
Yeah, the Baba serpents, once you've detached them from their stalk, they can still bounce around and try and eat you. Or bite you, whatever.
I never was a fan of the Wii's control stick. It always felt too light and floaty to me. So if you see me like miss my target a few times, I'm not intentionally trying to play bad. It's just that I can't maneuver very well.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with the fact that the 8 notches around the stick, to me they feel too far spread out. Like they really could have closed in that circle, and the Wiimote still would have had the range of motion, but it does really feel like in order to move in a direction, you gotta move it really far in that direction just to get the direction you want.
Yeah, just a little bit of more weight on the stick would have done it better. I'm getting pedantic now, so...
Let's complain more about the Wii's hardware, because that hasn't been done in the last 10 years.
Right.
That dust was very ominous when falling off of the ceiling. I'm going to completely forget that now.
Particle effects, mate.
In case you guys haven't learned, make sure you roll into totem poles. This is important.
Make sure you survey the environment as well, because I've missed that chest once or twice, and obviously you need small keys to progress through the dungeon.
I do like their design. They seem a little bit elaborate for just basic keys. I mean, in all the other previous games, they were pretty much just your basic metal one, but this one has a design around the ring and everything. It's almost got like a gem in it too.
I hate these guys, these things that come out from under floor tiles.
Oh, the tile worms? Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that you were just dodging them all. I tend to just go full on ahead, and if I hit one, too bad. I'm gonna strike it in the face.
You can't uproot them until you get the dungeon item, so I would just give them a wide berth for now.
But luckily, they peek out while you're away from them, so you should have some indication on where they're at. It's not unfair, but they are a tricky enemy.
Did you enjoy that, Monkey? I know I did.
Monkey just wants to get out, but hooray!
Why did they stick jars full of rupees in a monkey prison?
Well, what use does the monkey have for them?
That's true.
It's like you might as well give it a spoon. What's it gonna do with it? Dig its way out? Nah.
Once again, going back to the dungeon item, if you come back here and use the item to get rid of the flames, you can gain access to another treasure chest with, well, a little bit of treasure in it.
Treasure? That's my favorite kind. I also missed it earlier because we were talking about the thumbstick, but they introduced a new form of the Babas called the Baba-likes. And all that pretty much is that even though you can kill the plant itself, there's still this chewy bit. And if you try and jump over that ledge, even though you're like 2 stories above it, if you try to jump over it, it eats you. It's super elasticy, and I don't get it.
Bane of my existence when it came to recording footage, I can tell you that much.
Once again, another variation. This is the Big Baba. And this one I actually really like, because rather than just being like the stalk and the bulb, it's got a combination of the like and the Baba.
I always found it a bit wily to deal with, because it can spring forward surprisingly fast.
All you need to do is make sure that you stay out of its range. Its stalk is not going to magically grow like 2 feet longer, so once you've dodged the first bite, you should have a good grasp of how far away should I stay away from this to not get eaten.
Oh, thank you, Past Tom, for swinging the sword and reminding me. The ability to swing your sword while you're running is not something exclusive to the Wii version. You can also do it in the GameCube one, which I apparently forgot. Apologies.
I wanted to tell you, man, but you just seem so happy to think that the Wii version had something that was superior to the GameCube that I didn't want to ruin your happiness.
So you'd rather I'd live in ignorance, then?
Hey, you were so happy.
Well, I dwell in ignorance anyway, so it's not really that big of a change of pace.
1 point for the GameCube.
Now, one would think this is enough monkeys. Let's see if they're able to span the chasm when we get back.
If Hellfire Comms is any indication, there is no such thing as too much monkey.
These ones can't play the bass, though, so -1 point for them.
Yeah, that's a very unique feature. I completely forgot about this, but going through the footage, the 4 sample has some really good like fog or dust effects going on with it, which really does add to the whole naturey feel, because in previous Zelda games, even though you had, oh, it's a forest dungeon or whatever, it was still surprisingly clean. But this one, they add dust to it, so it makes it really feel like, okay, I'm not just in some manufactured, man-made building. This is out there in nature.
Yeah, it feels very rustic, very organic. I don't know what they were actually worshipping in this place, but that's just being pedantic.
Monkey butts?
Yes, all hail the great monkey butt.
It is great in red. I've heard some really silly theories about the monkeys. So most people in Wind Waker have come to accept that the Koroks are probably descended from the Kokiri, since, you know, they're under the ownership of the Great Deku Tree. They're very plant-like and all that stuff. There are actually some people out there that believe that on this timeline, the Kokiris evolved into the monkeys.
I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, that one's really stupid and dumb. But here we have the mini-boss. His name is Ook. And despite being a baboon, which is completely different from a monkey, he's the leader of all the monkeys. He's also an asshole because he cut up the bridge at the very beginning, forcing us to go on this wild monkey hunt.
It's not entirely his fault. He is being brainwashed by some weird mind control bug, which I'm not sure actually appears again in the game, but he's relatively easy to defeat. You just knock into the totem pole he's standing on when he throws the boomerang, and when it comes back, it'll knock him on his arse, and you do some jump slashes.
Yeah, when you roll into the totem pole, you actually cause him to lose his balance, so he forgets to catch the boomerang as it comes back and it whacks him in the face. When I first played this game, I really thought that what I was doing was rolling into the totem pole once to cause him to lose his balance, and then I had to roll into it again to cause him to fall off. But no, you just need to roll in once and just make sure you time it with when the boomerang's coming back at him.
Now, is that a light bug, or just something completely different?
I think it's something completely different, but I really think that they kept using it over and over. Like you said, it only appears brainwashing Ook, and then it's gone. But I really think that would have been a cool thing to add into Zelda, that, you know, the mini-bosses or all the bosses or something about most of the enemies you're fighting not necessarily being evil or even conspiring with the bad guy, but are being forced against you. Kind of adds a little moral ambiguity to Zelda.
The item is talking to his Mexi.
Is it a stand?
Is that the work of an enemy dungeon item?
I believe it is. I mean, it was operated by a monkey.
I probably haven't reached that part in JoJo yet, sorry for the awkward silence.
Yeah, the Gale boomerang. We needed some way to spice up the boomerang and make it cool and hip with the new urban kid. So what do? We add the Fairy of Wind, a religious person who hasn't appeared in any other game, and shove it in a boomerang.
Not even in Wind Waker, a game revolving around winds and the usage of winds.
Well, it has the goddess of wind, but that's probably just furore. But yeah, it is so weird that, oh hey, I'm a fairy. It's like, no you're not. If I throw you at a dragon, is it gonna kill it?
What, did you just volunteer to live inside this boomerang?
Or were you forced against it, waiting and plotting for your revenge against man for your imprisonment?
Usually when you get a dungeon item, you're locked inside that room, so you have to, actually figure out how to use it properly before you can exit. Here, you can't lock on like 3 times in rapid succession and the door will open instantly. No, you have to lock on once, it will go up, lock on again, it will go up a bit more, and the third and final time, like you see here, it will open fully.
See, this is where Zelda shines. When you're given a new item, sure, you're given a little bit of text saying, hey, here's the mechanics, this is a synopsis of what it can do, but in order to even get out of the room where you first acquired the item, you have to show some form of proficiency with it. Not full-blown mastery, mind you, but you need to at least know how to use the item in order to get out, all without needing a tutorial.
Exactly.
It sort of gives you this power that, hey, I figured it out on my own, even though it was the developers that actually put this in.
A little bit of an Anton pro tip for you. Don't press A before the boomerang's back in your hand. It will cause you to roll forward. And doing that while you're activating the first bridge will send you rolling into the abyss.
It's not so much an abyss, so much as the under of the tree. Like, really, how high above the ground is this tree?
Well, big enough for us to lose a bit of heart.
Is that in a take that we're not gonna watch, Tom?
I ain't saying nothing, mate.
That's fine, that's fine. If you were to consider the bottle to be the most broken item in Ocarina of Time just by all the whacked out shit you can do with it, including going to Ganon at the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
I would make the argument that the Gale Boomerang is easily the most broken item in Twilight Princess. Not on the tier of the bottle, but it's definitely way more broken than any other item.
The wind stuff does open up a lot of possibilities for breaking the game, yeah.
The reason for this is because you can use the boomerang to perform something called a long jump attack. Now, most people say that Zelda games would be better if you could control your jump. Well, what if you could double or even triple the length of your jump? That is what the boomerang can allow you to do in Twilight Princess. All you gotta do is sort of throw it over a void or a really huge gap. And then what happens is that as it's over the gap, if you pull your sword out and do a jump attack, Link will shoot way across the screen to where the boomerang is, clearing out pretty much anything that's underneath him.
Damn, that kind of puts the bomb jump from Majora's Mask to shame.
It's nowhere near as good as bomb flying, but I really enjoyed the long jump attack, and most people will consider it a GameCube exclusive trick. It's the main reason you will see Twilight Princess speedruns on the GameCube is because of the long jump attack. But there are variations of it, and there's one that's in all versions of the game, including the Wii version, but you have to use it off of an enemy attack. So it's not as versatile, and it's really difficult to pull off, so most people don't even consider it. And so most people will be like, oh, long jump attack, that's only in the GameCube, but technically, it's in all versions.
Did I just, turn that guy into a seed?
Yeah, well, remember in Ocarina of Time, you could get nuts if you don't cut the stalk, but if you cut the stalk, you get sticks. So I guess it's sort of going back into that, only instead of seeds being or nuts being a full-blown item, you just can pick them up and throw them. Kind of like in Wind Waker.
This playthrough is a sequel to many things. Obviously, you've got Twilight Princess being the spiritual successor, massive quotation marks, to Ocarina of Time, but speedrun trivia, not seen since the Ocarina of Time 3D playthrough of 20 insert number here.
Hey, I tried to include some speedrunning in Zelda 1, it's just that it's pretty basic.
Mm-hmm.
And with Twilight Princess, there's just not that much. You got way less tricks, but you use them more often in speedruns, so you're just recycling the same 10 tricks over and over until you beat the game.
Not sure how I feel about the design of the big old master key in this game. I mean, it matches the colour palette of, the small key, but besides that, it's fairly basic.
It's boring. All it is like a big ruby in the center. Fuck, I'd rather just rip the gem out and take that. And the key looks so dumb. It's not shiny, it's not fancy, I don't like it.
Are we actually discussing and critiquing the design of big and small keys?
Well, Tom64, I do believe that is what we do with these video games.
Indeed, and just before we get off the subject, I think the one from Ocarina of Time 3D is the best. End of story. Here we go, a little bit of bridge manipulation here.
Yeah, I do really like this, that how do you, instead of designing a whole bunch of rooms, hey, just use your wind-based puzzles that you came up with and use a room multiple times.
Yeah.
I think this is actually very effective designing, but also very smart designing. It's again, the dungeons in Twilight Princess. It's like they put 80% of the man and thought power into this, and they're like, well, dungeons are done, that was awesome. Oh shit, we gotta make a game around it now.
I just imagine the people, relegated to programming Wolf Link or doing textures and shit, on their lunch break, they'd sneak into the rooms where people design dungeons and just sigh wistfully.
Or, just abandon that work and say, hey Jim, do you need some help? I'm assuming there's someone at Jim, named Jim at Nintendo.
Yeah, it was like I was watching one of the Super Best Friends videos, and they were like, the people who don't play Smash, or don't design Smash, must really be jealous of the people who do, and shirk off work to go check that shit out.
I wouldn't be all that jealous. I mean, if I could get on a Zelda U dev team, I would be happy as fuck.
Oh yeah.
You just can't resist showing off your fanciness, can you?
Well, with the spiders, it's especially easy to get it done.
I do like how, even though you're not explicitly told, oh, hey, you can swing your lantern low to burn floor webs, you gotta figure that out on your own. So this game, even though we've been talking about, oh, it's so hand-holdy, it's so linear, we're going on and on about the game telling me what to do, there are some points where, the game is very willing to just let you go on your own and figure shit out.
The dungeons have a very claustrophobic feel to them, I think, because while Midna will pop up to, be a bit snarky every so often, she won't explicitly, paint a solution. She won't tell you how to get puzzles done 100% of the time.
Which is really good, and, she never even pops up and be like, hey, do you see these vines? Do you think you could climb them? It's like, no, you physically walk up, it's like, oh, can I climb these vines? And then that's all up for you to figure out.
Yeah, she's there if you need her, but otherwise she'll just leave you to your own devices.
How lovely to design a partner character that way.
We'll get to that, mate, don't worry.
You may think that monkey hunting's over. I thought it was. It's like, alright, I saved the monkey chief, now I'm all done. No, the monkey side quest continues for the entirety of the dungeon.
We're not done with Ook, by the way, keep him in mind, he'll pop up again before the dungeon's over.
There's a monkey trophy room where you can display all the monkeys you've saved. But where's the camera where I can spin them around and zoom in super close?
And there's a GameCube in the background, a Virtual Boy.
Oh, one of these monkeys needs to pull out a Game Boy.
Yeah, I want a trophy of every single one of those guys. Every individual monkey in Smash 4.
Holy shit. I will give the guys credit, but I don't think they went that in-depth in designing the monkeys. I'm pretty sure it's just one model, but it would have been hilarious if every single monkey had their own little physical quip, one has bigger ears or one's got a hair curl or something, just something minute.
Yeah, this one enjoys apples, this one has a potassium intolerance.
That's one of my favorite things in video games. If you want to win me over in a game, is give all the background and side characters really in-depth backstories. Yeah. I just love it. It's so unnecessary, but when someone takes the time to do it, it just sort of comes across to me that you really cared about your game or that you really wanted to put a lot of thought into it. Even if your rest of your game is absolute shit.
It comes across as a tad cynical in games where they don't flesh out the characters normally, and they just give you a paragraph of text read, this is this character, but yeah, I agree, it adds a little layer of personality.
Oh yeah, of course, you got to flesh out your main character. I mean, if you flesh out your side characters better than your main characters, then I just gotta question your priorities.
Now, thankfully, monkeys are listed on the map, so we're not going to be searching under every rock in this dungeon.
You'll notice that when he slices the babas, some fluid, I'm not going to say what specific fluid, as that would exceed the rating of this game, some fluid is expelled from the babas, and I'm pretty sure that adds to the fact that this game is actually rated T for teens in the United States. It's so silly, just using that wind to pick up a bug, and the bug just doesn't resist. It's like, well, I'm to meet my end and explode.
Now, Mexi says bug, that's actually a bomb chew, isn't it?
It's a bombling. It's it's based off the bomb chew, obviously, and then it's part animal, part bomb, but it's like an insect spider bomb thing, and it glows.
Yeah, it's really weird, actually.
How much would that suck to be told by your parents as you're born? Well, son, it sucks, but you were born as a species of explosive insect. Your fate is literally to blow yourself up later at the whims of a Hylian.
This one's destiny was to free this monkey.
Well, at least he's going to be of some use. The monkeys will write legends of that bomb and his sacrifice.
No, they've already forgotten him, mate.
Oh. How heartless. Here's what I was talking about, that even though this is the forest/wind dungeon, there are a lot of really swampy areas in the game, which is weird because Zelda has done a pretty good job of differentiating swamp and forest. Most people would be like, oh, they're the same thing, but Zelda games have done a good job where swamp tends to be more of aquatic plants.
Yeah. And
most of the time they'll include poison into that area. You have the Gapanga swamps in Link's Awakening, where you had to bring a giant Bow Wow to eat up a bunch of the likes.
Yeah, the chain chomp.
Yeah, because Link's Awakening just had to have plenty of Mario references.
Well, to be fair, that game is set... Can I spoil Link's Awakening? Has enough time passed?
Too soon, man, too soon.
Well, the clue's in the title. It's set in a dream, so obviously they could go a bit Mario crazy.
Oh. Well, I was gonna record it, but now I'm not.
You asshole.
Link's Awakening canceled, guys, and you have Tom to blame for this.
So here we go, we can rip these chucky assholes out of the ground and just set to them with the Knotmaster sword.
Freaking grubs, so gross. Like, they're gross in real life, they're gross in game. I'm going to applaud, but also cringe at the fact that Twilight Princess has very good insect and bug designs.
Yeah.
Like, you have the shadow bugs, which are super creepy in that they're the only thing that glow, and then they can fly at you. And then you have that one brain parasite bug that also sends chills on my spine, because, like, ugh, what if one of them was, like, on your neck or something? Then you got these Skulltulas where they went a bit realistic on the skull designs on their backs, and then you have the giant tile grubs. Like,
it just never ends, basically. Don't forget to survey your surroundings, otherwise you'll be like me, climb up this, get hit by those guys, and fall flat on your Hylian arse.
that's a Zelda lesson as old as time, that if you see vines, don't just climb them. Even though in Ocarina of Time you had that scratchy noise as indication, and they're less obvious in Twilight Princess, but hey, you can't make this game too easy.
I really hate that noise in both Ocarina and Majora, because it sounds like I hate my teeth, and I have really bad British teeth, so it always made me self-conscious. And now you'll never be able to hear anything different. And that's the last monkey.
Hooray! The Last Monkey, not quite as exciting as The Last Airbender.
Yeah. The series, not the movie. Oh, good God, not the movie.
Oh god, I just made a reference. Now I'm like, the monkeys kind of look like Momo a bit. Just a little.
Just a little, yeah.
A cool thing in Twilight Princess is that, say you had an entirely full wallet and you couldn't carry any more rupees, yet you opened that chest, the rupees aren't wasted. Link actually has the forethought to be like, I'm gonna just put this back and save it for later.
Yeah, now, obviously you'll have to backtrack to said treasure chest if you want to get the rupees. I think there should have been like a compromise, maybe it transports the rupees to a rupee dimension where you can pick them out later, but that's a little bit too surreal for a game that's trying to be a little bit grounded in reality.
Oh, pshaw. Who would ever believe in a dimension made entirely of rupees? What would it have? A rupee god? Please.
How would that game end? A friggin' shmup-based shooter against the rupee god?
Whatever. You're talking crazy here, man.
Oh god. My fear of heights is kicking in.
My fear of swings is kicking in.
Are you seriously expecting me to make this leap of faith?
Yes. Yes, just use your runner sense and see which one of these monkeys turns red.
Safe.
Good job. That's actually, it's got a tricky timing. I'm not gonna say like, oh, it's a difficult timing, because this is Twilight Princess. Nothing's that difficult, but you actually do have to have some sense of timing on that. And clearing that gap is actually one area where that long jump attack actually comes in that you can throw the boomerang towards the mushrooms where the monkeys are standing, clear the jump all the way to the mushrooms, throw your boomerang again, and then clear all the way to the boss door, so you don't even save half the monkeys.
Oh my god, I'm starting to see why people favour the GameCube one now, because you don't need the setup of the motion controls.
Exactly.
Don't mind us, we're just here to pepper the scenery.
We're just soaking in the purple. That purple.
Ah, you focused on the bomblings for too long and allowed us to load in. Good job, idiot.
I think it would have been funny if it turned out that, like, they had, like, a little Baba, and you're like, oh, it's adorable, and then it would have, like, slowly revealed that it's just a little part of these giant ones.
Yeah, I'm sure they've done that in the Zelda franchise before, but I digress. This plant-themed boss, which I never would have seen coming in a forest temple, or a forest dungeon, I might add, is defeated by using the Gale Boomerang to transfer one of these bomblings into the mouth of said plant.
I don't know if it's explicitly said, but this boss is similar to that in the Great Deku Tree in that this is also a parasite that is causing decay in the tree. Even though it's already dead, So what's the damage? But either way, we gotta save the environment, otherwise Captain Planet is gonna come in and kick our ass.
That's a really nice touch. The bomblings don't just, like, disappear. They actually go inside the logs, and then the logs just, you know, go under the water.
Yeah, they show it actually being swallowed.
Now, here's the main portion of the fight. You've actually just got to stall for the time being.
Yeah, I guess that's how they had to, like, lower the difficulty of it. Was that you're not really having to move around so quickly or be like, oh my god, what do I do now? You have plenty of time to plan out your attacks, to observe the enemy, to sort of take in what are its movements.
Yeah, and obviously you get to appreciate a bit more Ook-butt.
Like I told you, Forest Temple designed to worship Monkey Butt.
No, it should be obvious from the first phase, but you've got to transfer the bombling from Ook to the middle of the boss, you know, the big plant section.
But you want to be careful in that the boomerang takes what should be the shortest route between the two clicked targets, but there are some times where something will get in between the boomerang picking up the bombling and the boomerang hitting Diababa's main head.
Right, and sometimes it will even explode on the platforms itself, and I think it actually happens in a second.
Ew, purple poo gas. I like how they try to copy off Alien in that, oh, let's put the eye in its mouth, even though I've never gotten that in any video game. Like, would you see what you taste?
Yeah. I gotta say, I love the boss music in Twilight Princess, especially the little sting that kicks up when, you know, the boss is prone and liable to be attacked.
Yeah, Twilight Princess has dynamic music based on at what phase is the boss at. If you're ready to attack it, it switches to this little sting like you said, and it's always so well timed. I've never really had an instance where it felt like, oh wow, what happened to the music? Oh, we're going to the sting. No, it always blends very well from whatever point the boss battle music is at to the sting.
So yeah, that was the first boss of Twilight Princess, for lack of a better word. Not that tricky, and sadly they don't really get much harder for the most part. They get more intricate, but difficulty-wise, give or take.
Also, that was a Majora Eye. You can't tell me otherwise! And then the bosses explode into Twilight, because we gotta stick to that thematic theme for reasons.
Now, instead of getting like some kind of artifact of light, in a change of pace we actually get an artifact of darkness.
Yeah, we're not actually told about those up until this point, so I guess it's better than nothing. But now we're finally told, partially, what is Midna's motivation. She wants to gather these fused shadows. We don't know how many there are. She'll let us know. And we're not even entirely sure, like, what they do.
Yeah.
All we know is that she wants them, and she's gonna tail us until we get all of them for her.
And we need all of them to match the power of the King of Shadows.
It's also implied later on that what the bosses were previously, they were either like normal enemies or just a normal person, but when in contact with a fused shadow, they become corrupted by Twilight, and as you saw, it turned a regular Deku Baba into a giant monstrous plant thing.
That also happens in the second half of the game with another artifact, which I can't mention right now. The theme of possession is very prevalent throughout Twilight Princess, I just realised.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
You enjoy it?
Yes!
Mexi is very sadistic like that, but I digress. Thanks for watching, guys, and we shall see you all next time for another installment of Twilight Princess. See you then.